Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to the second video of the day, and it is part 5 of the Rod Stewart story. And we're going to look at today at Rod's albums during the 1980s. A changing time for Rod. Music was changing. And during that decade, Rod released 6 albums. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite eras. He did make some good records, and he made some, yeah, I'm afraid. So we'll have a look at those 6 albums now. So coming in at number 6 is actually his 13th album overall and the 4th of the decade for him, and it is called Camouflage. Playing on here is Rod, of course, doing the vocals, Kevin Savigar on keyboards, Michael and Marshall on keyboards. Jeff Beck makes an appearance. His old mucker Jeff Beck does guitar solos on tracks 1, 4 and 5. Jim Cragen, another person that's been around in music, played with Steve Harley, of course. Michael Landau on guitars. And also on guitars, Robin LeMessurier. You know, the name is right. It is the son of John and Hattie Jakes. And one of the other things is Robin LeMessurier was part of Mike Back's The Wombles. Jay Davis on bass and Tony Brock on drums. Now the first track on here is my favourite track, and I love this track, and it's Infatuation. And it's got a killer guitar solo from the legend that was Jeff Beck. Brilliant track. It's just one of the best tracks of this period of Rod. Okay, there's lots of covers on this album as well, and the next one is one of my favourite songs, All Right Now from Free, but unfortunately this is not the best version of the song. It's got some horrible keyboard in it. I'm not a big fan of this. Then he has a go at Robert Palmer's version of Some Guys Have All the Luck. But this is actually another cover, and it's by the Persuaders. The best version is Robert's. This is a second favourite, but it's not that brilliant. I'm not a great lover of that. Up next is a track by Todd Rundgren. Yes. Can We Still Be Friends? It's alright. That's all I'll say about it. It's not a patch on Todd's version though. Then we have Bad For You. It's not bad. It's got some nice harmonica and some horrible 80s keyboards on it. Heart Is On The Line. Too much 80s sound on it. It just didn't suit our Rod, I don't think. Then we have Camouflage itself. Wasn't a fan of that either. And Trouble. Oh dear, the worst track. Probably one of the worst tracks I heard Rod do. It's not good. Apart from Infatuation, I think this album hasn't dated well. I think if I was to rank the whole of his catalogue in one go, this would be towards the bottom, without a doubt. So I'm just going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 5, the 15th album in total, the 6th of the 80s from 1988, and it's Out of Order. It was actually produced by Andy Taylor from Duran Duran, and it features 2 members of Chic, Bernard Edwards and Tony Thompson. First track on this one is called Lost in You. I don't mind this. It's got that 80s production on it, but it's got some nice guitar work from Andy Taylor, who's a pretty good guitarist. So I do like that track. The Wild Horse, another quirky, rocky track, Again, I do like that one as well. It's great vocal from Rod, sounding good as ever. Then we have a lethal dose of love. I don't like the start of this because it's got that horrible 80s drum sound, but the guitar riffs are pretty good, and it sort of saves itself. Okay, up next is Forever Young. Not a particular favourite of mine, but I do like the guitar solo on it. My Heart Can't Tell You No. I don't like that track at all. Ugh, it doesn't suit Rod, you know. But the next track, Dynamite, is brilliant. This is more like it. This is proper Rod Stewart. It's a great rocker, great guitar, great vocal from Rod. Brilliant little track. Then we've got Nobody Knows When You're Down and Out. Sounds more like a Prince song than a Rod. It's okay. Crazy About Her. It's not a bad song. Yeah, it's listenable. It's not one of my. It's not one I'd say, oh, up there as one of the best 80s tracks from Rod, but it's pretty decent. Try a Little Tenderness, written by Jimmy Campbell and Harry M. Woods with Reginald Connolly. It's a nice ballad and it's got some lovely saxophone on it. When I Was Your Man, a typical 80s ballad, horrible sound. I think if they did it today, it'd be a far better song. Almost Illegal, second favourite track on here. Great little rocker as well. I like the rockers on here. Okay, it's an okay album. It's got the rockers on here are pretty impressive. I would have preferred more of those. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4, the 14th album in overall, the 5th of the decade, and it's called Every Beat of My Heart. Lots of people playing on here. We've got the first track is called Here to Eternity. I like this song. It's got a nice beat to it. It's a pretty decent song actually. Then we have Another Heartache, co-written by Bryan Adams, Jim Vallance, who did a lot of work with Bryan, of course, Rod as well. It's a good track. The keyboards are a little bit, but apart from that, it's a damn good track. A Night Like This, great track, typical sort of Rod Stewart song, proper Rod Stewart sound. Brilliant. Who's Gonna Take Me Home? The start of this is so 80s, but all of a sudden it turns into a good track. So has its mercies on that one. Then my favourite track on here, and I've always loved this, it's Red Hot in Black, because it's a good rocker. It's got a great piano line. It's very faces. It's what I like, as I say. Love Touch is the next one, written by Mike Chapman and Holly Knight. And all I'd say, I wouldn't say this is Chapman's finest hour. I'm not don't like that. Okay, next track is called In My Own Crazy Way. Now, this is co-wrote by Frankie Miller, Troy Seals and Eddie Sester. I like this. You can tell Frankie Miller's involved because it's got that feel to it. A really good track. I don't mind that one. Then we have When Everybody Knows, Every Beat of My Heart. Big hit for him. Don't mind this. I like the saxophone solo on this. One of my favourite songs. Then we have 10 Days of Rain. Pretty solid track. Nothing wrong with that one. Very 80s, but still very listenable. And then we have the clanger of the album, and it's a version of In My Life. Sorry, Rod, I don't like your version of In My Life. Definitely a mixed bag here. Some really good rockers on here. It's not a bad listen, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 3, we get a 1983 now. 12th album overall, the 3rd of the 80s, and it's called Body Wishes. On here we've got Rod Stewart on vocals and backing vocals, Jim Cregan on guitars, Robin LeMessurier is on guitar on this, Jay Davis on the bass, Tony Brock on drums, Kevin Savaga on synthesizers and piano, Tommy Big on percussion, and Jimmy Zabala on the saxophone and harmonica. First track on here is called Dancing Alone. What a track. Co-wrote by Rod and Robin LeMisere. Great track. Great rocker. Sort of that Faces sound. One of my favourites on here. Then we get Baby Jane. Great single. Very catchy tune. Can't say more about that one. Then we have a track called Move Me. Some nice riffs on here. You know, the guitar work on here from Robin and Jim is brilliant. I do like that. 80s keyboard's creeping in here. Yeah. I wish it hadn't. But these things happen, of course. Then we have the title track, Bobbity Wishes. Not too bad. Got some good little riffs in that one. Sweet Surrender. Got a nice little shuffle feel to this. The guitar work is absolutely brilliant. Like that track a lot. What Am I Gonna Do? I'm So In Love With You. Very popular song. But I think this is when the wheels sort of fell off a little bit for Rod, and he was getting involved with sort of more the production and being more 80s. Which I do like Rod, but I'm not keen on his 80s stuff. Ghetto Blaster was great. This got a bit of that Stevie Wonder feel to it. I love the guitar work in this. Pretty good. Then we have Ready Now. Yeah, this 80s production starting to creep in. It's okay. Strangers Again is the next track. Very good track. There's nothing wrong with that one. Then we have Satisfied, co-written by Bernie Taupin. I don't mind this. It's got a nice string arrangement in that. A pretty solid track. I would say this is probably my last favourite album of the 80s by Rod. It's got some old style stuff on there, and that 80s was starting to creep in, which I can't understand why they made him do it, but hey ho. But I'm going to give this an RTO rating of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in number 2. We get a 1981 now. He's 11th overall, the second of the decade, and it's called Tonight I'm Yours. Opens up with the single Tonight I'm Yours. Catchy. All I would say was just ditch that horrible keyboard. Pretty good. Then we have a track called How Long, written by Paul Carrick. Great singer, was in Mike and the Mechanics and did his solo work as well. It's a nice song. It's got a great guitar solo. I do like Paul Carrick's songs. Brilliant track. Then we have a track called Tora, 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 Out With The Boys. One of my favourites on here. Great little Rod rocker on the album. Brilliant track. Now my favourite track is actually a cover, and it's from Johnny Burnett, and it's Rod's version of Tear It Up. Absolutely brilliant. Best track on the album, without a doubt. Great version of this rockabilly song. Love the original and I love Rod's. Then we have Only a Boy. Good track this is. It's got some nice saxophone on it as well. Pretty strong track. Just Like a Woman, which is of course a Bob Dylan song. Rod has covered many Bob Dylan songs. Great song from Bob and a great version from Rob. He always does good versions of Bob's songs. Pretty good. Then we have Jealous. Reminds me so much of Missing You by Rolling Stones, this does. It's got that same sort of feel to it. Sonny, not a bad song, co-wrote by Bernie Taupin. Pretty cool track. Then we have Young Turks, one of the singles from the albums. Don't mind this pretty catchy little pop song. I like that. Never Give Up on a Dream. Very good. I like this track. It's a bit catchy. And I think it's very of the time. That was the last track. This is a pretty decent album. Some great tracks on here. The 80s sound was creeping in, but it's still got sort of his old soul looks on it in his old style. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. But my number one album, I've always liked this, and I have recently purchased it again. And it's from 1980s. It was the first one of the decade, and it's Foolish Behaviour. On here we have Jim Cregan, Phil Chen, Tim Bogert and James Hayslip all do the bass and guitars. Carmine Peace does the drums on this. Colin Allen as well, and Roger Belthamy does some drums. Kevin Savingar, John Jarvis on the keys. Phil Kinsey, Earl Price and James Gordon on saxophones. Billy Lamb and Jim Price on trumpet. Liam Thornburg on the trumpet. And Sid Page on violin. And lots of backing vocals. So the first track is Better Off Dead. Absolute belter. I like how it starts off with that da 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 da, which is from Tony Hancock's Half Hour. And then it goes into this rock and roll track, just proper good old fashioned rock and roll. Then we have Passion. I love this. It's really funky. The guitar work is so funky, and I love the vocal from Rod on this. Absolutely dynamite. Then we have my favourite track, which is the title track, Foolish Behaviour. So grand rock, it's unbelievable. It's got such a fun sort of track, brilliant track. Do like that one. Then we have So Soon We Change. Bit of reggae now, and I love the bass line on this. This is a really good, strong reggae sort of tune. God, I Wish I Was Home Tonight. Nice guitar work, very poppy, but very, very good. Great track. Then we have Gimme Wings. Classic. I love the keyboards on here. It's very, I think, very, very Faces as well. Brilliant track. Then we have My Girl. Love the piano work on this. Wonderful vocal from Rod. She Won't Dance With Me. Second favourite track on here. It is so gutsy. Great guitar riffs and a great piano thing. That really great piano sound that Rod had on his albums. Somebody Special is next. Not a great lover of this, although it is written by Steve Harley, but it has some nice. It's not my favourite track on here. Then it's Say It Ain't True. It's got a great vocal. Probably one of the weaker tracks on here as well. Okay, I think this was the last of the great albums from Rod for a little while. He became so engulfed with the 80s sound, didn't he? But this is just a terrific album. Top to bottom, classy album tracks. Okay, the last couple are a bit fillery for me, but they're not that bad. But so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, next week we go on to the 90s. Another sort of decade of, not in the wilderness, but finding what he wanted to do. But there was a couple of good albums from that time. Okay, up next, it's Perfect Side. And I've chosen this one today because it is a favourite album of mine, and it is a favourite album of Birthday Boy Dave. And that is Out of the Blue by ELO. So join me for that. Bye for now.